Alright, this is my first ever attempt at making a high detailed, stylized 3D character for a video game, and honestly, I have learned a ton. Today I will be covering the biggest lessons I've learned so far, my fears that I had to overcome, the process that I go through, and some tips I wish I knew before starting. Fear number 1, high vertice count will ruin my game. I have had a huge fear of sculpting in Blender for years now. I knew that sculpting increased the vertex count, and in my mind that meant bad for games, don't ever try it. But here's the truth. Every character goes through retopology anyway, which completely fixes the messy, high poly topology created during sculpting. Sculpting high poly is not the enemy, it's actually required if you want detailed characters. Fear number 2, my character looks ugly. The next fear I had to overcome is that the character does not have to look good at all stages. There will be moments when your model looks downright hideous, like I'm talking nightmare fuel. But that's totally normal. You just have to trust the process and fix things step by step. Fear number 3, I am not going to create a good finished character. This was by far my biggest pitfall. I was terrified of spending hours sculpting a character, only for it to never look how I imagined. Because of that, I kept trying to perfect tiny details, constantly re-sculpting and restarting aspects of the character. I just had to sit down and say, you're growing, you're learning, and your first model will not be perfect, and that's okay. Sometimes I notice a part of the character that I just do not like, but I tell myself, cut yourself some slack, accept it, and move on. Progress matters, not perfection. Those were my top 3 fears that I had to overcome, so let's move on to the tips and tricks that I learned so far. Tip number 1, start simple, and that is not an exaggeration. One huge breakthrough for me was understanding that complex shapes come from simple shapes. I used to jump straight into sculpting muscle definition and fine features, and it always led to failure. Put simple shapes together and get a foundation built for your character, where you can visualize your character, starting with basic geometry and slowly transforming it into the character that you truly want to see. Tip number 2, mimic the creative steps of life itself. Okay, this one sounds weird at first, but hear me out. I found that building a character using the same layered steps that real life follows actually made the sculpting process way easier. Instead of trying to sculpt everything all at once, I started with the skeletal structure. Not a full, accurate skeleton, just the general shape and landmarks, the rib cage, the skull shape, eye sockets, cheekbones, the prominent features that really stand out on every person. Our skeleton defines a huge amount of your visible features, way more than most people realize. After blocking the bones, I'd slowly add the next layer, the major muscle groups and soft tissue. Not perfectly, just enough to give the character form and volume. When you work in layers like this, it feels less like sculpting a character from scratch and more like revealing the character that's already there. It gives you a clear roadmap instead of just pushing clay around and hoping it turns into a person. It sounds strange, but it genuinely helped me understand proportions, anatomy, and facial structure a lot better. Tip number 3, back up individual parts. I cannot tell you how many times I sculpted something and then completely ruined it trying to fix one tiny detail. This is where backups completely saved me. Having a checkpoint for pieces you like, whether it's a facial shape, a head outline, or the torso structure, it helps so much. Instead of panicking and trying to fix a mistake for an hour, you can just go back to a version you liked and keep moving forward. Personally, I restarted the face like 8 times. And each time, I was so happy that I had a clean backup so I didn't lose everything. Alright, that pretty much wraps everything up I've learned so far from my first ever stylized 3D character. It's been a mix of fear, trial and error, ugly stages, and breakthroughs. But honestly, it's been really fun watching the character slowly take shape. Before I end the video, I want to leave you with some super useful Blender shortcuts that made my sculpting workflow way easier. Some of these are well known, but a few of them took me way too long to discover. Some common sculpting shortcuts are S to smooth, C for clay strips, G to grab, K to snake hook, P to pinch, I to inflate, and Shift C to crease brush. In object mode, you can click period to change the pivot point of your rotation. So you can actually set your 3D cursor as the rotation pivot point, which is super useful. And then you can also do Ctrl L, which can be used to copy modifiers from one object to the other. Hopefully this helps any beginners who are scared of sculpting or just starting out like me. If you want to follow along as I keep improving, or if you enjoy watching me restart the face 8 times, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.